See you on the other side.
Founders, the art of storytelling is essential when you're presenting ideas, and especially when you're pitching to investors. Our guest, a dynamo, world-renowned speaker and 3 times founder, will show you how to elevate your energy, engage an audience, practice effectively, and deal with stage fright and much more. Stay tuned for the Startup Life Show. Hello and welcome everyone to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Andy Lyons, startup coach to first-time founders. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now help newly minted business owners sleep through the night by giving them peace of mind. Because, hey, does a new business come with instructions? Oh, heck no, right? Thank you for carving out time to tune in and up your founder game, because as you do better, your business will do better. And please take a moment and put your business name and website link in the comment section so we can amplify your startup live right up here on the screen and share what you're doing and how you are serving the world. For those of you watching the replay, please like this video and be sure to click on that subscribe button. Thank you. I am so excited to share today's guest with you. He's the one, he's the only DanRam. Look at this amazing man right here. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something about DanRam. He ignites the stage as an event MC and speaker at over 100 events a year, hosting changemakers like President Barack Obama, billionaire founders like Sir Richard Branson, record-breaking athletes like F1 champion Nico Rosberg, Grammy-winning artists and celebrities. He works on 4 continents, from college campuses to parliaments to in-house corporate innovation days to the biggest tech conferences in the world. I got to tell you, I know you are going to love this man's energy. Seriously, he lights up the room with his vibe. I am thrilled and honored to have him with me on the show. Let's give a hearty welcome to the Dynamo DanRam.
Yay! I'm with the amazing and delicious Andy Lyons. Yay!
DanRam, where are you hailing from today?
Right now, I am where I sat a couple months ago when I had you on my show. So I am back in the Elephant Reserve in South India, in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, one of the southernmost states in India. So that's where I am, and I'm coming back, and I know you follow me on Instagram, so you're aware I did something crazy scandalous during a pandemic. I went on a European tour for 8 weeks, and so I'm actually just back. I've been here for exactly 1 week back in India to refuel. So that's where I am today.
It was so fun watching you because you got caught up in a serious lockdown, right? And and you are a traveling man who loves to be with his people. I was over the moon, filled with joy when I got to see you in all your beautiful spots in the world, and I lived vicariously through your traveling. Let's just say a quick hello to folks who are hailing here. And here we have Richard O., the man who knows how to create the best podcasts ever from Northern California. And here's Fast Track. Someone saying, hi, Dan. How are you, Fast Track? And talk about world travelers. Ann Pereira. Okay, so she's the founder of the Wellness Universe, DanRam, and she has created a platform for wellness providers that is rock star. And it has been like herding cats, but she is there now. It's taking her years. They just had an incredible international bestseller book because why not? It's COVID-19. We have to find ways to continue serving the world. Love seeing you, my goddess, Anna. And we have, hey, Mary Angela, growth manager, Co-Create X. Yay! I don't know. I'm just feeling a lot of increased traction when I see what you're doing there at Co-Create X. Would love to learn more. And Ted, you are just the best. I love seeing you here every day. And yes, Anna, I know you're signing those books right now. I saw the photo online. It was incredible. David, how are you? Founder of Wheel to Wheel. This is a gentleman who has made being wheelchair active work everywhere he goes, in buildings and everywhere. He is extraordinary. DanRam, you would love meeting him. Now,
Nice.
folks, be sure to throw in the comment threads, where you're hailing from. And remember, DanRam is here to answer questions. So I want you to be sure to pop them into the comment threads and take a moment, everybody, because DanRam, you know that this is not a time where we're going out and networking. I mean, my gosh, I used to go to 2 or 3 events a week here in Boston. So folks, you still need to connect and find ways to collaborate. So pop your LinkedIn URLs in the comment threads with each other, talk amongst each other. You never know where your next opportunity to partner with someone can be. Right, DanRam?
That's right. This could be the spot. Could happen right here.
Absolutely. So I love to start off right away understanding what caused you to jump ship, as I like to say, and go for entrepreneurship. You're a 3 times founder. Do you have one of those entrepreneur stories where it was you knew when you were a kid, or were you like me? I had stray cat business ideas show up at the door and yowl until I let them in. What is your startup story?
It's a good question. And okay, so here's the deal. I think I've always been entrepreneurial, but I honestly did not know what that word was until my early 20s. So I did not grow up in countries where entrepreneurship was promoted. Even though I have an American accent, I didn't grow up in the US where you have success stories and you have Shark Tank and you have celebrities who are entrepreneurs and you have shows that promote entrepreneurship. We didn't have any of that. But I think I've always been entrepreneurial, right? So entrepreneurs solve problems. I love solving problems, whether it's puzzles, whether it is broken appliances in the house, whether it's trying to build things. I think I've always had that. And when we moved as a family and I would find something missing or lacking in the next country, I would take the knowledge I had from the previous country and bring it to the next one. I think entrepreneurs do that as well. They're good at finding opportunities and extrapolating previous knowledge to apply in new ways. So I think I've always had this in me. But I only became an entrepreneur out of necessity. See, I like security. I like safety. I like working with big teams. So I applied for jobs. I wanted to be employed. I wanted insurance. I wanted salary. I wanted perks. I wanted an office. I wanted a boss. I wanted all those things. But I graduated. The first time I graduated was from Yale University with an economics degree in the middle of the recession. And then I graduated from an MBA program in Ireland, Trinity College, also in a recession. So even though I applied for tons of jobs, nobody was giving me a job. So I became an entrepreneur out of necessity. Since someone else gave me a job, I gave me a job. And that's where I began. And I've never turned back since because, this is a drug. This is addictive.
It.
Yeah.
It's addictive. I often introduce myself when I'm at a gathering. I go, hello, my name is Andy. I've been unemployable since 1992. I fell off the wagon once in 2010, but I quickly fired myself.
Yeah. So true.
It's so true. We become unemployable at a certain point because we've been running our own show and leading and doing this work, which clearly when you go to apply someplace, any smart talent acquisition person would be like, I don't think so. So, but then you switched to becoming an MC and speaking on a huge platform. What prompted you? What called to you to want to be in front of people and share your story in front of large crowds, be the glue that held the event together as an MC? I'd love to hear how that happened for you.
Sure. I keep it real simple. It's still entrepreneurship. I'm still solving a problem. So as an entrepreneur, and many of you will resonate with this, you've got to pitch your business, right? And so I will go to events and I would pitch my business to attendees, to participants, to investors I would find, and I would take part in these pitch competitions. You're all very familiar with these pitch competitions that happen at tech events. So the first year at this event called Web Summit, I pitched one of my startups. We did not win, but it was a great experience. 90 seconds on stage, it's nerve-wracking, but it was such a fun experience. Then I did a bunch of smaller events as a way to just get the word out, to do some free marketing for our startup and to meet people, to network. The following year at Web Summit, the guys called me back and said, Dan, your pitch was great. Your idea didn't make it through, but we liked your energy. Would you be willing to come back? Since you know the stage, could you come back and host it? And I was like, what does that even mean? And they said, the person who introduced you on stage, could you do that for all the others? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. How do I prepare? And it's the only 2 pieces of training I have received in my life. And they said, just introduce the person coming up next and engage the audience. So all I did was solve the problem. This event needed an engaging host, which they did not have in previous years, and I stepped in. And also I found that when I was invited to come and give keynote speeches, the energy was low because most events go on for 6 hours, 7 hours. Honestly speaking, you're there for maybe 1 or 2 of those big speakers. What are you doing the rest of the time? And there's so much content coming, it can be really draining. So as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a government advisor, as an educator teaching universities, having played all these different roles in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, I am fully committed to everybody that kind of merges at these tech events, which is also why now when I host events, there's a lot of camaraderie and connection, because at some point in my journey, I have been them, I have worked with them, and that's what keeps it exciting. So really just solving the problem of events being long and someone needing to be glue, like you said, and then for this one event, stepping in and helping them out.
And any smart event manager would make sure you were hosting the event, because who wouldn't want your deliciousness up there, keeping the crowd engaged? There's just something about how you vibe that just audience, go ahead, give me a thumbs up in the comment threads. Wouldn't you love to see DanRam live at some of these events where, it can get snooze material. And even though you're waiting for even maybe an Ariana Huffington or a Richard Branson to speak or a Gary Vee, you still have to have someone who makes it exciting and keeps that, like at a rock show, the person who warms up the crowd before the band hits.
Can I say though, I love people and I love all their stories. Yeah. So I've hosted all those people that you mentioned. Ariana Huffington was at an event I did like 6 weeks ago. Gary Vee was at an event I did in Dublin. Richard Branson and I have done the stage a few times in a few countries. So you're right, they are the glue. But the person before them, equally interesting story. The person that has to follow them, equally interesting story. Everyone's got a great story. I think what I am passionate about is, yes, to some extent being warming the crowd up to the Gary Vees and Richard Bransons, but also shining the light where it's due. Because we know the light belongs to the people up ahead, celebrities who have earned their stripes, but there are so many people in the up and coming that also have great stories to share. So what I love doing is taking the light and shining it on good people, taking the light and shining on good stories. So yes, absolutely. I'm for the Gary Vees and Richard Bransons, but I'm honestly for all the speakers. And it doesn't even matter if they are a boring speaker, because just because you're a good performer doesn't mean that you're good at what you do. And so for me, it's also just trying to make sure that they can be heard and seen to the best of their abilities as well. And that means sometimes lowering the energy. So sometimes I hype them, we dance and we sing on stage and we have fun. And sometimes we sit down on stage and we take a pause and a breath and we go, breathe in, breathe out collectively. The next topic is going to be difficult. And this next person is going to, and we change the energy for them so that we can make sure that they shine.
That is so important. I hope you all are taking this in, because you have to not only get the crowd pulled together cohesively, but you have to reflect the energy of the individual speakers that are coming on the stage. So when you reflect them, and that can be done collectively as well, and that's what you do a great job as an MC, but it allows them, the speaker, to really bring their full self as well. And everybody benefits. Yay!
Absolutely.
So yes, okay, so here's your fan club. Everybody's going, yep, we want to see Dan. I would go to see DanRam in a heartbeat. Yay, Nikki Pesquier. May I just say Nikki is responsible for all my beautiful branding. She's a Canva expert. Please visit Nikki if you need any artwork done for your marketing. And hey, Grace, good to see you. And she's like, yes, absolutely. I'd love to see this man. So as many speakers, I mean, we have a dear friend, Brian Fonzo, who, 3 children at home. He's got to feed his family. And he was like you, all over the world, speaking, making it happen. And COVID halted him in his tracks. It halted you in your tracks. And what I love is that the two of you really went deep into how do we pivot? How do we make this happen? How do we still add value with our skill set when we can't show up physically? So share with folks your COVID pivot story, because it's just inspirational, DanRam.
So my COVID pivot story is recognizing that the career that I had, as much as I loved it, and I did, was over. You take a moment to grieve it. You take a moment to pause and appreciate, to introspect, to celebrate what was, but you have to let go of the past in order to engage with the present. You can't just float right into the next thing, right? So the pandemic was hard for everybody. And for me, there's 2 ingredients to doing what I do, which is hosting tech events. One, you got to travel to them. And second, you got to gather large crowds of people. Neither of those were allowed. So I went from having a lineup of events to zilch, 0 completely. And for any freelancer out there, entrepreneur out there, you know that when the clients aren't paying, there is no safety net. So it's not like I could just, and also I live in a country where the government was not writing us checks. There were no handouts. There was nothing. And I had salaries to pay. And I've got, of course, my own expenses. So I just want to say, this was a crazy storm for everybody, right? You included, me included, for all of us. But you got to take a moment to celebrate the past, to appreciate what was. Gratitude is an important feeling. You don't want to ever come out as a victim and stuff. And I want to celebrate the couple years that I was hosting events in that fashion. Then comes engaging with the present. So what I did is I just started writing ideas, and I made a calendar. And my parents were in the house when I was doing all this stuff. I was like, what are the things I used to like doing? Puzzles. So I opened up a puzzle. I started doing puzzles. I love music. I love playing the piano and guitar and singing. So okay, let me try some songwriting. And then I have always wanted to do more just writing in general. So I started doing some journaling. I wanted to learn coding. And so I started taking some online classes. And essentially, I just wrote ideas. I threw them at the wall. I tried them, and I saw what stuck. And what was interesting, and Andy, you were very helpful in this, is I love conversations. I love finding value in these conversations and then making them applicable and available to everybody, right? I'm very fortunate to interview some of the greatest, and some would consider them elite or exclusive. What I want to do is be a bridge and bring some of those conversations and make them available to everybody. And I thought, we can do this here on a camera. Sure, it's not a Congress Center. Sure, it's not a convention center. Sure, there aren't thousands of people and fancy lights and production, but so what? The point is conversation. And so you helped me with that, because we launched this thing called The Daily Show with DanRam. Every single day we went on and we interviewed someone. We had amazing people, billionaire investors, coaches, Grammy-winning artists, young teenage YouTubers, like the whole gamut. And I learned tons from that. But what that did is it started training me in a new world of performing on screen. Like, I am now a Netflix show, right? You are watching a digital version of me. Like, you've not seen the physical version of me. You have only engaged with the digital version. And so how do I make sure this digital version is the best version of me possible? And that's authentic, right? I don't want to fake it here on camera. And so I started learning daily. And that gave me a whole new toolkit that I was not aware of. So let me fast forward to what happens when you, one, let go of the past, the career that was.
And you celebrate the past.
You celebrate the past, absolutely. And then you engage with the present, which is try different stuff, write things down, past skills and talents, current skills and talents, future passions. You try all of it, throw it, stick it to the wall, see what sticks to the wall. You do more of it. And then that positions you for the future. Because now, fast forward, I have come back from a 7-week tour, 25,000 kilometers. We went to 17 events, 20 cities. And all of them, I was working with multiple cameras, multiple ear monitors. I was working with distant remote teams. So it's not just like a team there and, give me the cue producer. Like, in one ear is a producer in Malaysia, and another ear is a producer in America dealing with a client over there. Like, it was essentially mayhem, cables and wires and stuff that honestly I was not familiar with pre-pandemic. I mean, pre-pandemic, I'd run up on stage and go, "Good morning, everyone." I would see people. And now even seeing people is in confidence monitors and on the floor and off of green screens. I'm working on all this technology. And I'm not saying that to throw you off. I'm saying when you start daily engaging with the opportunities that are here, before you realize it, I mean, a matter of 3 or 4 months, my entire life had gone from in-person events to now virtual events. And I've done over 80 virtual events in the last 4 or 5 months. So,
and when you say virtual, you mean to a crowd?
So virtual meaning it's everything from pre-recorded to live virtual events. Some of them are in a physical studio, and it's amazing work, like in TV sets. Essentially, it's closest to like, you know, the Daily Show with Jimmy Fallon or Ellen DeGeneres or Oprah. Like they have a set, but we don't have an audience because of the lockdown. No audience allowed. But you'd have similar multiple cameras and producers and audio people and that whole thing. That's not like a stage crew. And then the second option is a virtual green screen where I'm actually performing on nothing, an empty green room, and everything is popping in around me and I see it on a screen, but there's actually nothing physically there next to me. So I might do an interview with someone and you can see them, but I can't see them. But I talk to them like they're there.
That is so cool. I want the audience to take note of something. And you may want to rewatch this, okay? Because here's the gift that DanRam has been showing. His ability to connect with you looking at this here camera. And a lot of speakers have had a hard time transitioning to this. But the world is right here. And I want you to talk a little bit more about that, DanRam, about that ability to look in the camera and create connection.
Now it's challenging, right? So I really want to see Andy. So I keep looking down here because I also feed off of people's energy and that's very natural. But now when I'm doing these monologues, when I'm being asked a question, asked to speak, I will pivot to the camera. That's one thing. The second thing is to realize this rectangle that we live in, right? There is no rule that says you cannot use your hands in here. I know you can't have your feet in there or your hips in there, but you can absolutely use your hands. So one simple tip on that, if you put the camera a hand apart, right? So I'm pointing and it's a hand apart. I put my hands in front of me. So if I was real up close to the camera like this, my hands have to be next to me, which is awkward. So I'm a little bit distant away where I can use my hands to say, yeah, profits are rising, or I've got 3 things to tell you, A, B, and C, right? Or 1, 2, and 3. So use this frame. It is not meant to limit you. It is a beautiful space. Don't forget, every Netflix show is in a rectangle box. Every TV show that you love is in a rectangle box. If they can do it, you can do it. The tools are actually there, honestly, and they're free. So you can find things like OBS and StreamYard and others. You see all this cool stuff that Andy's got all around her. She already mentioned Canva. That's free. StreamYard, what we're using, is free. The social media platforms that you're watching right now are free. Like, the tools are there.
And, you know, folks, one of the things that I do, one of the tips I have is, of course, I'm always fascinated by my guests. So I want to look down and go, oh, yes, and do like this. So I will put my script up in front of me here. So to remind me to look at the camera and still take in their deliciousness. Because, again, that eye contact is so important. I congratulate you on pivoting. You know, that's one of the biggest skills we talked about when I was on your show is that AQ. It's your adaptability quotient, folks. And, you know, I am feeling an Andy-licious moment coming on. I got to talk about this for a quick second. And that is your ability to adapt as a founder to the circumstances around you. And sometimes that means not just with your business, but with who you be in the world. You know, little up your skill set, create another way of serving the world, whatever that is, really tap into this other level of intelligence that you have to help you bring more of your full self to the world. And also, you are a founder, which means you innovate. Like as DanRam was saying, he loves to solve problems. You do too. That's really one of the main reasons founders happen is that they're so into solving problems. And so adaptability is going, okay, the landscape has changed here. How do I serve this? So as sad as I am, DanRam, for so many businesses that of course are going out of, are, you know, failing right now. I had a business that I loved dearly for 5 years that failed with, I had no control over it. It was completely Mother Nature and other factors wiped it out. I couldn't have fixed it in a million years. Letting it go. You will rise again with another business. I'm a 4 times founder. DanRam is a 3 times founder. So thank you for letting me share that Andy-licious moment with all of you so that you can keep moving forward and sharing your deliciousness with the world. Yes, Richard, of course, our podcast host here, Conversation. I'm telling you, it was the easiest transition for me to go back to doing live shows, DanRam, because, got to stay connected with folks. And thank you, David. I agree. Excellent advice. And there we go. Shakti. Woo woo. Awesome sauce. So let's get into the meat of why we have you here. Because as you know, I co-host a pitch event every month right here in Boston. Founders Live Boston, been doing it well over 2 years. And we have 5 founders, have 99 seconds to pitch their business. I help founders with their pitch decks. I got to tell you, it is like you have enough on your plate already. You're trying to get this baby launched into life. You're trying to figure out your marketing and your technology and the people, and you're raising money, but you still have to capture, you have to do all of these important things. So DanRam, let's just start right at the beginning as to why essential story skills for founders are so important, especially when they're pitching to investors, because folks, you have to emotionally connect with that investor in a way they feel really aligned with what you're doing and they want to be part of it. And that's who you want. You want to make sure you bring in those investors that think you are a rock star and they want to be part of this business because they're investing in you first. So first share, DanRam, why storytelling is important, and then we'll start talking about how founders can weave stories in and all of your other great tips.
Yeah, one word, connection. I think that's what it comes down to, right? What do we love about stories? There's something that we identify with. There's something that we feel conflict with. There's something that we feel excited with. There's a connection to the characters, to the setting, to the journey. There's something in the story that resonates, whether it's a movie, whether it's a book. I mean, this is what makes storytelling so compelling, is a connection, right? That's why we often don't feel that when we're reading a biology book. I mean, remember when you were in school and you open your math books? I mean, do you feel a connection to a math problem the same way? No, because there isn't a story there. There's information, there's data, but not a story. This is why we're hooked into watching drama series, right? Because it's a connection to what is happening there. It is the same thing with pitching, because a great pitch is not one that gives a lot of information. A great pitch is one that starts a conversation, and you start a conversation with someone that you have a connection with. See that logic over there? So a great pitch is when you're up on stage, you say something in those 99 seconds enough that people want to go, I need to keep talking to this person. Not, whoo, crazy download, send me the PowerPoint. That is not a conversation. That is one-way monologue. Or do they say, no, I've got a question. Or they stop you when you are walking around and meandering, and they go, something you said, triggered this thought. Now you have actually created dialogue, right? So that's conversation. That is what makes a good pitch. But the only way to get a conversation is connection, because if they don't like you, why would they talk to you? If you come across as obnoxious or arrogant or whatever, you give off the off signals or the wrong signals, people may think this person is great, but no connection here, or don't want to have a connection here. So I would say really the reason we're talking about storytelling, and okay, don't get us wrong, you need to have a good pitch deck, and you make sure that you're clicking correctly in the slides, and you need to have rehearsed, and all those things are important. But what's the bottom? Like, what's the underlying selling point? What's really going to get you across? Because I have seen bad ideas create good conversation. I've seen struggling founders create good conversation, good connection. I've seen young kids who really should not be in the platforms that they are have instant connection. I've seen seasoned entrepreneurs who really should be out of the game, which I never think is a thing, by the way. I don't believe in that at all. But sometimes you were so used to seeing like early 20s, 30s people in the crowd that there's a 60-year-old seasoned entrepreneur that's there. And and they have an instant connection. There's something about them that everyone's like, wow, there's a fire in their eyes. There's something that I'm connecting with. So that's a very long answer for my one word, which is connection.
Well, I think it's so important because not only are you going to connect with that person or those folks, but they're going to sit there and go, oh, I feel connected. And you know who they would love to talk to, or you know who I need to introduce them to? And now they feel good about making that introduction because they have connected with you. I have goosebumps. Thank you. I love that advice. Something fierce. So now, when we talk about weaving that story, most pitches, you're going to have 3 to 5 minutes to get your story out. And of course, again, founders, remember, you got to have that one liner in the beginning so everybody's on the same page before you start your story. Because I've seen folks tell a story, DanRam, and people are like, oh my God, I love that story. Now, what is it that you do?
Yeah.
But
you need to have both, right? So some founders spend a lot of time thinking about the story of their business, and they neglect their story, because you said this earlier, people are investing in them. So they'll know the 3 things that they want to communicate about the startup. But what are the 3 things you want to communicate about yourself? Have you thought about that? And other people go the other way around. They talk too much about their own journey and their own ups and downs and who they are, and not enough about, okay, so you seem investable, but what are we actually investing? What's the entity? So there's essentially 2 stories that are happening, and you have to know when to be obvious about the story and when to be subconscious about the story, right? So you don't ever stand up and go, hey, I'm Dan, I have tons of energy. I don't have to say that. You feel that. So that one I don't have to be, but I could say something like, growing up in 10 countries on 4 continents, I have experiences that are diverse, and diversity is key. So that one I want to be super upfront about, right? That's not about the startup. That's about what I bring to the table is that diversity card.
Right.
So want to know how to mix those in. But the point is there's 2 stories, because there's essentially 2 things that an investor is looking for is what's the entity that we're investing in and who's the individual or the team that we're investing in. And so you need to know both those stories.
I love that, something fierce, especially since, they're investing in your ability to execute and implement. So you can pull in a really great story of what you did and just to illustrate that, and then get right back to the pitch of your amazing business. And speaking of investors, DanRam, can I say hi to one of my favorites, Ben Jen? He is so amazing. Mwah. It is so good to see you. Ben Jen is local here in Boston, although he is often found in New Jersey and New York. And he's been investing in tech businesses for many years. And he, especially the younger crowd, I mean, I've seen Ben Jen, DanRam, do incredible things with the high school student, because he's like, age, don't be caged by your age, folks. And he's just great. So thanks for tuning in, Ben Jen. And everybody go connect with Ben Jen on LinkedIn, because he's remarkable. Now, here's something that, you and I don't necessarily have to worry about, which is elevating our energy. I always play music before I go live, but frankly, I can get excited at the grocery store, I can look at a rock and go, my God, have you ever seen a boulder like that? I got to tell you, you are a special rock. But folks, are not, we have introverts, we have ambiverts out there. What's a good tip for elevating the energy so that you show up not, like you're on something, but that you're you're ready to connect and engage with folks?
I firmly believe that you cannot give what you don't possess, right? That's what you call a fake or a poser. So I think if you want to give energy, you got to possess energy. I think if you want to give love, you got to possess love. If you want to give compassion, you got to possess compassion. And so energy is no different from that. I think you got to learn how to channel it. So Andy, you gave a great suggestion there about music. Some people respond very well to music. I'm one of those people as well. I always invest in good Bluetooth headphones because I don't always feel like going to the gym when I go to the gym. Anyone who follows me on social media knows I go a lot. But you know what helps me get in the mood? Music. I can get that bass and drums in there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a warrior. Yeah, I can do this. That's not how I feel necessarily when I've literally been in bed 10 minutes before that, right? So there's some things that you can do like music. I also find that sometimes doing the opposite, like reading, meditating. I'm a very spiritual person, so I also feel like reading my Bible or praying also fuels me up. Like I mentioned, exercise fuels me. Music fuels me. I think great conversations with people. You know, you've got those friends, and I do this on my WhatsApp. I will save some of their voice notes for the morning. Like they will send it to me at night. I won't listen to it at night because I just know that what they've got to say is what I need to hear that morning, right? And so I will save some of those conversations. I'm very lucky here to be with my parents, having breakfast with them every morning or seeing them around. They've usually got really good energy too. And so I think there's a few of these things you just have to do an audit and figure out what is it that gives you energy, because what you should be focusing on is how do I show energy, or how do I perform energy, or how do I pretend to have energy, but how do I actually possess it? What can I do so that the energy is in me? So that's just natural. I show up and I'm so fired up. I'm so ready. So if you have to go look at a boulder and tell it it's the best looking boulder in the world, then go do that. But whatever it is, find out what gives you energy. It could be stitching. Could be playing the piano. Could be anything.
Exactly. It could be just communing. It could be communing with nature. It could be going to the local coffee shop. And you know, it's showtime, folks. So when you show up, even if you're an introvert, you do need to tap into what is real for you and what's important for you. And your business needs you to do this. So take DanRam's advice very closely. And now another thing too is the ability to engage the audience. And folks, this is a skill. Again, you can be a very quiet, reserved person and still learn how to engage the audience. What are your thoughts? What do we need to know about that?
Engaging audiences, yes. So I don't know if you know this, but I will be classified as an ambivert. And most certainly when I was in school, very much an introvert. I think around the age of 13 or 14 is when everything started shifting. So even though I might come across as quite charismatic and outgoing, that's not the case. If you watch me pre-event, I am in my green room by myself, not in the speaker room, not in the lounge, not hanging out with people, in the green room by myself. Chill, zen, focus. Right after an event, I don't go to the after party. I go back to my hotel room. I go right into the tub and I get a book and I soak for 45 minutes and I'll process the whole day. So those are very introverted kind of behaviors around the extroverted energy outside. So I'm kind of an ambivert. But anyway, I'll tell you why that's connected with engaging with the audience. I actually think that introverts have a superpower, because we often think as introverts as needing to elevate their game when it comes to the public. And I learned how to engage an audience actually from my introverted side, not my extroverted side. Essentially, as an introvert, we spend a lot of time watching people and observing people. That's all I'm doing, right? When I'm on stage, I'm watching people. And when there is a lull, and you'll see stand-up comedians do this as well, they'll point at someone in the crowd and be like, nice shoes. Where do you get those from? You know, and then they'll start engaging with people. It's just about being observant. And I hate to say this, but sometimes extroverts feel like the whole world's around them and they are the show. Whereas as an introvert, I switch it around. I'm like, you look interesting and you look interesting and let me pay attention to you. So I'm watching everything. I also think introverts are very good at gauging energy because we often know when the vibe isn't right. Whereas extroverts bring the vibe. So it doesn't matter if the party's dead, they are the party. When they show up, it's all good. But introverts, we spend more time trying to figure out what's going wrong, what's not mixing. And I think that paying attention also helps a lot. So if things are off at an event and I need to bring an audience back, I need to bring the community back again, I've been paying attention to it longer because I'm an introvert and I'm not an extrovert. So I just want to say in this whole conversation, introverts, you might have a superpower here. You might actually have an edge. But engaging audience is really just remembering that at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all here to learn. It doesn't matter what the title is. It doesn't matter what the bank account is. It doesn't matter how your day's been in the morning. In this moment, we are sharing life together. And that is all I think about. So just like I would interrupt my sister and be like, what do you think about this? I do that on stage as well. Or, hey, quick vote. Should we do this? I mean, all the tools I use on stage, I have done at summer camps where I'm super comfortable. I've done in youth groups where I'm super comfortable. I've done in family gatherings where I'm super comfortable. It's just an extension of it. I'm just talking to people like they're people, because at the end of the day, they're people. So remember that. Next time you are chairing something, emceeing something, don't worry about the titles. Don't worry about the agenda. Don't, at that moment, if it requires you to engage, just remember the other person you want to talk to or the group of people you want to talk to, just humans. Do what you would do anyway over Thanksgiving dinner or over a weekend gathering with friends.
Who watching right now can relate to being introverts, right? Your introvert superpower. And I'm with you, DanRam. I have, I can be there, the energy and all that, but then yes, I love that you take time out and go and restore the energy that you just put out to the world instead of depleting it even further, going to an after party. That self-care is some of the best role modeling I've heard. I want to thank you so much for that. I also want to remind folks, and I know this is a lot about what you were speaking about, when you're engaging with the audience, you take the pressure off yourself. This isn't about you. It's never about you.
Yes.
It's always about who is out here. And of course, when you remove yourself from your business and put it out here, you can look at it objectively. So now it's about showcasing your business and not about you. And so you're helping the audience understand your business and where you're taking it. You're looking forward to their questions. But when you're sitting there going, gosh, my hair, and I'm a little nervous, and I'm this and I'm that, then all of a sudden you're looking at yourself. And I'm very guilty at it. Nobody's going to see me out there speaking on the stage.
Can I share a perfect example of this?
Yeah.
So I was about to introduce Jessica Alba, right? Hollywood royalty, and also an amazing businesswoman. And this was a German audience, which are a tough crowd. It was a midday afternoon, which is not like chill time. Everyone's loose and stuff. They were all wearing like business outfits because it was a business conference. And there was something going on backstage that I'm not allowed to share, but essentially there was drama backstage, and she was not going to come up at the time required. So as an MC, I had to engage an audience. And all I did was I was super human, and I mean almost to a fault, right? So we played some games with the audience. I was like, you know what? It's been a long day. So how about this? I want to get, and there was like 5,000 people in the audience. So it was difficult to play a game with that many people, but I was like, let's do this. So I got some like, not plastic, but like styrofoam balls, and we pass it around, and I was like, all right, kick the ball. And when you kick it, like shout out your name and your age, or shout out your, what industry you're in or something. And so we're playing games. Such a human thing to do at that moment. And at one point when I kicked the ball, I kicked it so hard that my belt broke. Now, for any speaker, you know that the belt is not just a fashion statement. It also is essential because it holds all the body packs. So I have a in-ear monitor body pack, which is heavy. I have a microphone body pack, which is heavy. I have my vlogging microphone body pack, which is heavy. So I got 3 body packs and everything dismantled on the spot. That is a great moment to remember, even if you are at one of the top startup events, business events in Germany with 5,000 people. The day before, I'd introduced President Barack Obama. So I was like at an all-time high. You're still human. And so instead of hiding it, I was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got something to show you. Cameraman, please zoom in over here. And I showed everyone my broken belt. And I said, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep talking to you over here. But a man is going to come from behind, and he's going to fix this live on stage, and you're all going to witness it. So we're human in that moment. And so many people thought it was a choreographed bit because of how the humor flew. I mean, everyone was laughing. They had a good time. But all I was doing was being human. What else are you supposed to do when your belt breaks, right? I'm not going to throw a fit at that moment. Like, you just laugh it off and you just be human. So that's just an example of how being human is really all you need. And essentially what we're saying is be authentic, be yourself. Yes. Learn to laugh when things go wrong, learn to take pride and to celebrate when things go well, learn to be humble and listen to others, learn to be proud of what you've accomplished. Just be authentic.
Right. And when you follow folks like DanRam, and you're reminded again, it's a skill to let go of your hypervigilance over how you look, which is so easy to get caught up in, and realize, I mean, how many times have I pressed the wrong slide? I've pressed the wrong button as a host on a live show. It's okay. We're just, doing the best we can, and we can be humorous about the fact that we're human. Richard O, yes, introvert, superpower. Mike Henley, a phenomenal artist. You'd love following him on Instagram, DanRam, just saying. Mike Henley. Grace, sadly, I'm an extrovert. Sometimes things shift, though, as you age, I got to tell you. I understand. And then playing an extrovert as an introvert is exhausting. Recovering time is mandatory. Oh, there's a woman who wrote an amazing book about her introvertness, and she talks about having to run to the bathroom and lock herself in. But she's also, not gotten on planes because she's really honoring of her introvert and her anxiety. But, she's a well-known author, so she has to get out. Hey, Grace, no superpower. Thank you, Fast Track. Yes, it's a great story, and it's so important for us to remember and how we're vibing while we're getting ready to share and during the process of sharing our business. Now, this is something that is so true, and kind of like getting to the gym when you need to get to the gym. It's a hard thing to implement, but it's key. Practice effectively. What does practice effectively look and feel like, DanRam?
Good question. I'm reading a book on habits right now, so that's where my thought goes right away. Essentially, there's a lot of science, a lot of research that has gone into why some of the most successful people in the world are successful. I mean, they looked at athletes who had won the Super Bowl. They look at CEOs, some of the biggest, greatest companies in the world. What makes them function at that extra level? What makes them practice effectively? And essentially, what it is routines, right? So I don't necessarily have a time when I practice. I'm effectively always practicing, because I will watch this back. And actually, right before this, I was watching an event that I did 3 weeks ago on the TV with my parents, and we were practicing, right? We were watching, and I was thinking in my head, I'm going to do things differently. And in this interview, I have done a few things differently than I would have done before. And so to me, practicing effectively is actually a habit. I cannot help but constantly practice. It's a habit that I have that I think takes me up over and over again, because what I do is I will practice, I will perform, I will analyze, and then implement that back into practice, perform, analyze, and implement back into practice. And it's a habit that I have. I cannot give a talk, do an interview, even have a conversation with someone without, after that, thinking, what could I have done better? Back into a loop, put it into practice again. And so it's just a habit that I have constantly. Every night before I go to bed, I'll go through the day and figure out what could I have done better, implement the next day, practice. So I don't have like a practice time. So practice effectively to me is not like, here's my 1 hour before I go on stage. In many ways, it's a habit to constantly analyze, implement, analyze, implement, analyze, implement.
That self-audit is basically, you're doing an audit at the end of the day of how you were and be and everything. It's very much like an athlete. Athletes will watch the play again and again and again, whether they're on track and field or on the soccer field or football field.
Yeah. And it's a lifestyle, right? They're not practicing 2 weeks before the Super Bowl and putting themselves in a practice routine. They do it every day, regardless whether they're on the pitch or not. They're always training. They're always mentally training, physically training, emotionally training. For founders out there, you are an athlete. You are a CEO. You are a record breaker. You just have to think at that level and go, how do I year round give myself the best conditioning, the best tools and resources? So I'm continually practicing. So to me, that's practicing effectively is daily. It's constant. It's continual. And the day I stop practicing is the day I plateau. The day I plateau is the day I'm irrelevant. That's how fast the world moves, that if I did not learn how to do virtual, honestly, I would not be doing anything this year, right?
I'm going to post the name. What's the name of the book?
Uh, Good question. Something about habits and how we do them.
Because
One second. One second.
thank you for asking, Mary Angela. I got to tell you, this is something we all need to think about because
Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business. So it's two parts to it. And honestly, it's super, super interesting. Like in America, in the old days before the war, there wasn't a habit of brushing teeth. It was just not considered something necessary for hygiene. And then a toothpaste company figured out how to create a habit out of brushing teeth. And actually, it did not come from a morning routine, evening routine. It came from that mint kind of sparkling clean taste. That taste actually does nothing to clean your teeth. It is just a flavor that is added on top of it. But people became addicted. They start craving that taste. And all of a sudden, people's hygiene improved because of a taste that was added to a chemical treatment. It's super, super interesting about how habits build and also how changing one habit can change your whole life. So if you decide to start sleeping well, your relationships might improve. Now, there may not seem an obvious connection, but that would be considered a keystone habit. When you lock in your sleep pattern, you start waking up with better energy. You start waking up with better energy, you start acting, behaving more properly. You start doing that, so it's a really great book. And a part of that is even around conditioning, practicing, training as well.
Yeah, we need a lot of help on that because, clearly everybody would be in great shape and strong, healthy bodies. Oh, excellent. Let me just put that into the big screen. Yay. Perfect. Perfect. Love, love, love. Thank you for that. And Rajesh, totally agree. Real or virtual, there is only one DanRam. The one and only, as I said when I introduced him. Just bingo. Now that is so important because and implementing a habit, everybody, it's so hard. But think of the bad habits you have that were so easy to get going on. You can do that, and you need to do that. As I'm always saying on the show, when you up your game and improve your skills, your business will improve. So thank you for that, and thank you for the book, DanRam. Stage fright. Oh my gosh, folks, I have this big time when I'm in front of a room. Maybe it's just the energy. It's really hard live for me. This I'm excited about. I love this cinematic tension of virtual. I love connecting and pressing all these buttons and having great conversations virtually. But boy, do I get scared live. And people are always like, what? You? Yes.
Yeah, it's real.
How do what's the tip that you have for stage fright? Because again, it's so important. You're raising money for your business. It's oxygen for your business. And this becomes super important when you get up in front of the stage, and it just puts so much pressure on you.
Yeah. Stage fright falls under two categories. Same with anxiety. There's the kind that stops you from doing what you should do. And there's the kind that catapults you to another level. So the same energy can do one of two things. It can either hold you back or push you forward. It can either be an obstacle or it can be a conduit. And the choice, it comes down to how you use that energy, right? And I'm saying that because I love the fact that I'm still nervous when I come on stage. It is actually something very important for me. And I'll tell you why. Because when you're nervous, you are more aware of what's happening. When you're nervous, it actually makes you focus more, because that's sometimes what causes the fright, right? You're hyper-focused. So the question is then, what do you focus on? Are you focused on the fact that you're forgetting your words or that your outfit doesn't seem right? Or are you going to focus on that? Are you going to focus on something else? When you are hyper-aware, are you hyper-aware of yourself and your perceived inabilities or insecurities that are holding you back? Or are you hyper-aware of the fact that you got a room full of people that came there, that showed up for you, and that you've got something to share that's going to delight them? What are you hyper-focused on? What are you hyper-aware of? So it's the same energy, just how you choose to use it. I get nervous a little bit, and I love it because it tells me, that this matters. The day that I'm not nervous tells me that I don't care. That's why I'm not nervous, because I don't care. And I want to care. I want to love what I'm doing. So I actually love the fact that I'm a little bit nervous. There are some practical things to do. So now that the pep talk is done about it's okay to be nervous, let me give you some practical things. First, breathing, super important. Go backstage or before, if you don't have a green room, just step outside and breathe in, hold a breath, and breathe out. Do that 5 times. Close your eyes and do that. And no, do not think about your script. And no, do not think about what you're wearing. And no, don't think about what didn't work and what you failed. Just focus on breathe in, hold, breathe out. That's one thing, breathing exercise. Second, affirmations. You know about this, and some of you think it is crazy for the cuckoo people, but it's also proven scientifically to make a difference. So you say certain positive, affirmative statements to yourself about yourself. So you go, Dan, you are so ready for this. DanRam, you are born for this moment. Dan, people love you, and more importantly, you love people. So bet on that, bank on that, go love, right? So you just say these things, you speak it into reality. You speak it into existence. So that's the second thing you can do is affirmations. The third thing you can do is as you're walking up on stage and if you feel your heart pounding and you're like, I can't say anything, I want to let you know it is totally okay to pause. Silence is okay. You don't have to entertain from the moment the curtains open or from the moment you walk on stage. It is totally fine to show up and to look around at everybody and just take it in. Just be present, right? And if looking at people scares you, here's a simple thing to do. Sometimes I do this as well. I will count the lights in the room, right? So it'll make me look from left to right, and I'm avoiding eye contact with anyone, but I'm just looking at all, and I'm counting them. I'm changing my brain from, I can't do this, oh my gosh, to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of a sudden I'm calm. Or if I'm not afraid of people, I will play a little game. I'll say, who's got the most interesting looking pair of shoes? And so I'll look at people. If you can't see the shoes, it might be like, who's got the most interesting hairdo or something of that sort.
Hands down, that is definitely what I'm going to be using the next time I've got to be in front of people live. Because, you know, I see this just in the store. I'll say to somebody, dang, your shoes. But I want to show something because, you know, I have anxiety and I have PTSD from an experience way back in the day. So one of the breathing techniques that has really helped me, and I encourage folks who do suffer from any type of anxiety, it's really profound. And I'm just going to show you, you're going to breathe in through one nostril, close off one nostril and breathe in and then let out through that nostril, excuse me, and then breathe in through that nostril and let out. And there's something about that. I think it's Ayurvedic. I'm not sure, but it's one of the best things for calming an anxious person down drug-free. And it works. And yeah, I'm scared every time I go live because, you know, my fear is just making sure that I bring a great experience. But like you, the minute I start talking, I'm just like in the zone and it feels so wonderful because I know we're adding value to folks' lives who are watching. And DanRam, you have brought so much wonderful advice today. I want to bring this up, folks, so that you can see you can work with DanRam. Okay. DanRam, I want you to talk a little bit about this. I'm going to also put the link into the live stream here, the comments, because you make it so easy to work with you. Share with folks a little.
All right, so this Speaking Success course was a response to the endless people who DM me, tweet me, message me on LinkedIn and Facebook saying, Dan, how do you have so much energy? Dan, how do you communicate so clearly? Dan, how do you structure all your comments? Like all of that stuff. And I was like, you know what? Well, let me just create a course on it. So it's video-based. It's my face, and I'm telling you exactly what needs to happen. Second, it's super practical. I ain't got time for theory and stuff. I did that all in college. Right now, we just need to enhance people's levels. So it's super practical. 3, it's activity-based. So after every module, there's an activity that you have to do. 4, it will help you with the comprehensive aspects of being a speaker. So to me, being a speaker is things like controlling the environment, right? What's to my left? What's to my right? What are the books that I hear? All of that stuff. So how do you control the environment, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person? It's also covering topics like body language, practice techniques. I go through 5 different ways that you can practice different ways. 5 different ways that you can practice for your next speech. We go through things like anxiety and fear. We even go through things like the tech equipment that you got to use. I hate when speakers show up and they don't understand how to use a microphone. It is part of your performance. It is your job, not the sound person's job, to know that the mic goes to your mouth and not down here. You know that awful squeaking sound when you look angrily at the sound person? That's actually your fault. It's feedback that you are causing because your mic is in the wrong place. So I go through all of this stuff. So the fourth aspect about this module is it's very practical, very hands-on. And fifth, I went and interviewed a bunch of my favorite speakers, and we've got some of their hot tips. So every module, we have hot tips. And all of that for $37, which I think is a steal. I mean, originally it's close to $200, but you know, times are difficult.
Signing up. Who's signing up with me? Come on, everybody.
We're going through a pandemic, so everyone's upskilling, and I was like, let me do my part, because I cannot think of any career, I cannot think of any role in life where you don't have to speak at some point. And so whether you are a dad or mom that needs to get your kids' attention, that's a speaking skill. Whether you are selling a product or service, whether you are even just hosting a Zoom call, you're in a position of speaking. All of the stuff you learn, you can implement directly into essentially everyday life.
I love that. Thank you, David. Mwah, so good to see you. And
So
speaking of pitch events, and this gentleman is a phenomenal. AJ, I think you do amazing work. You start our pitch events off every month. Amazing. Your ability to connect, which is what DanRam has been talking about. But this is interesting. Superfoods or drinks to optimize focus.
I don't do anything intentional, but I am very protective of what is in my green room. And so I will only have fruits, nuts, things that are easy to munch so I can control the energy, because it does every time I'm on stage and I'm given so much, it drains me. So I need something that I can just kind of top up. I avoid caffeine in the morning. And if I'm doing a full day event, like 8 or 9 hours, then the second half of the day I'll do coffee. But like I said, I want the energy to be internal possession, not a response to something I'm taking in the moment. So I don't do anything special, so I keep it all organic, natural. I love a great breakfast in the morning, so I have a nice full breakfast. Not too much that I am sleepy, because we all know that post-lunch snooze that we get. So I don't have too much, but I keep it nice and healthy. So yeah, essentially I am intentional about my food, but I don't do anything special about it.
Beautiful. I'm just going to put this up again, folks, so that you can work with Dan. $37 is nothing. It's pizza night out, folks. You can do this. Let's talk a little bit about your advice. You've given so much great advice during our conversation, but for those moments when a founder, especially the first-time founders, are lying in bed going, what am I doing? I am a complete failure. Having that deep founder doubt, we call it the founder journey advice here in the Startup Life Live show. Because it's a myth, everybody, to think that even someone who's been through this, like DanRam, doesn't have moments of doubt. How do you shift your state of mind when you're feeling inadequate?
Great question. 4 words that have become my philosophy, my motto, my mission. It's why I do what I do on social media. It's why I'm on stage. I'm not on stage to be an MC. I'm on stage to impart 4 words to people. Start now, start simple. So the reason that you might be in bed feeling like you cannot get back out again is maybe some doubts. Maybe some self-belief issues. Maybe there's been some serious failures. Maybe you have made some mistakes. Maybe an investor's pulled out. Like, it could be countless reasons. As long as you keep thinking about those reasons, nothing's going to change. So you got to start now, start simple. If you're at the crossroads of your life, you got to start now, you got to start simple. If you have a dream that you want to make into reality, you got to start now and start simple. Essentially, these 4 words apply in so many different situations, including the question that you asked just now. And so what start now, start simple means is literally start now and start simple. Now, without being too facetious about it, I think the best time to move, to shift gears, to transition feelings and emotions is this moment. You don't have to wait till Monday or the next month or the next year or until you get the right resources, the right high net worth individual. You start today. And you start with the tools that you have today. You keep it real simple. And so if I may, real quick, I'll share a simple example of that. I told you that I have a master's degree, an economics degree from Ivy League University and from Trinity College. I was captain of my badminton tennis team, part of the National Honor Society. I had 3 U.S. presidential awards. In many ways, I felt that I deserved a job. Should have come to me, lots of jobs. But for many, many months, I think almost 18 months, I was unemployed, even though I applied and applied and applied. That feeling of anxiety, loneliness, desperation, desolation is not too dissimilar from a founder who has insurmountable obstacles and challenges. And both of us are in bed going, what next? What do we do? And essentially, my start now, start simple was this. I was like, whatever the next opportunity, I'm not going to undermine it. I'm not going to judge as insignificant. I am going to say yes. Yes is the power to start now and start simple. Everyone else can say no. You just need one yes. And so that yes that came in was to volunteer as a fake investor to a bunch of 12-year-old girls. Now, this is a story I share a lot. So if you just look up Start Now, Start Simple TED Talks, or Start Now, Start Simple TEDx Talks, or Start Now, Start Simple DanRam, you'll see online tons of these stories, very practical stories from my own life. And essentially the end of the story is I went from a volunteer fake investor to a bunch of 12-year-old girls who'd worked on a business idea for 24 hours to advising the national government of Ireland on their national policy entrepreneurship, which would have affected billions of dollars of GDP and millions of jobs, from saying yes as an unemployed person to a volunteer opportunity to then a government advisory role. So that's what Start Now, Start Simple does. I could not have done that, if the minister, which is the Minister of Jobs, Enterprise, and Innovation, essentially the Minister of Economy, had commissioned this team. And if he had called me and said, Dan, you ready to do this? I'd be like, what, me? Heck no, right? Even right now, if he had said, Dan, can you host 85 virtual events in the middle of a pandemic, travel to different countries, and do that with none of the knowledge that you had 4 months ago, I'd be like, are you crazy?
That is a steep staircase that you can't even see. Yeah.
But if you start now and start simple, and you do it every day, and you do it continually, you will surprise yourself how you can get yourself out of a funk, how you can get yourself your funding, how you can find yourself your network, how you can get that co-founder. Like, you just have to go out there and do it. Start now, start simple. It honestly is that easy.
Wow. Okay. Everybody join me. Big virtual hug right now for DanRam. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us in the Start of Life Live community, sharing your wisdom, your incredible advice. Any last thoughts you'd like to share and how we can add wind to your sails? We know about the speaker opportunity. Anything else? And I'm going to have Dan's links to everywhere he glows so you can follow him. What else would you like to share before I end our conversation?
I like to say that my mission is to help you start now, start simple. This is why I MC. It's why I transitioned to virtual MCing, because I can still do this, right? Off of amazing opportunities like this. So if I can help you in your journey, you actually are helping me accomplish my mission, which is what makes me feel satisfied and fulfilled. That's what wakes me up in the morning, is a chance to help amazing people. So I want you to know I am very available. I am very approachable. And anyone who has DM'd me often are shocked that I respond usually within 2 or 3 hours. And it's me. I'll leave you voice notes. I'll give you resources. So if you're curious on, for example, how to do well on screen, I have a PDF that I created, 21 hot tips on what I call success on screen. I'll send that to you. If you're like, Dan, you had some tips on energy. Here's my situation. How can I do it? I'm a mom. I've got 3 kids, and I only got 20 minutes. What would you suggest? I'll give you an answer. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, connect with me on any social media. I know it's floating all over this place, my social media accounts, but I'm very, very, very available. This is what I'm excited about, is helping you. So you can WhatsApp me. I think it's now in the comments. You can email me. You can DM me on Instagram. If you are on Instagram, I share behind the scenes of my life, and I show you that it is not rocket science. It is just daily disciplines and habits that I put into action, and somehow ends up in insane places. So, and I have tons and tons of free content that I'm always posting. I'm always vlogging on time management, efficiency, productivity, work-life balance, morning routines. We cover tons of topics. So please join me online. I am here, and I am online, and I am on stage for you. That is why I'm here. So let's connect.
There's all the scoop, everybody. It will be in the show notes as well. I got to tell you, I am full. My heart is singing with joy from this time with you, Dan. Thank you so very much for bringing your wisdom to the Startup Life live show and to founders around the world. Your wisdom is so appreciated. And audience, gosh, I love you. And I'm so grateful you tuned in and connected today and shared your delicious energy, excuse me, with Dan and myself. And, thank you to the replay viewers. I know you grabbed some very important nuggets and gems today. Again, be sure to like the video and subscribe. I'm as well love to connect, learn more about you, and serve you and your business. And as I shared earlier, one of the ways that I am able to do that for you is through coaching. I do this on-demand coaching. I do pitch deck reviews. I have strategy sessions. And for you female founders who are applying for that wonderful coveted official women-owned business status, I help you with the WeBank application. You do not need to struggle alone. Sometimes it's a 15-minute conversation that will help shift you or go even deeper. You can book a conversation with me, easy breezy, right here. We can get to know each other, see if we're a good fit. I can learn more about you and what you're doing in the world, which would mean the world to me as well, because I get so excited to hear about how founders are building their businesses and taking their visions and turning them into reality. It's so exciting to learn whenever I post a new show. I'm usually here Tuesdays and Fridays live with incredible founders like DanRam. Go ahead and join my meetup group here. There's the link. And you can learn whenever I have a new show, it will be posted there for you to grab and come and join us live. It's a great way to network and stay in touch while upping your founder game. Founders, I'm just all verklempt from this incredible experience. This has been a moving time with you. I'm so glad we had this opportunity to share DanRam together and his wisdom together and this time together. Stay focused, stay healthy, stay strong, and remember, you've got this. You can do it. I believe in you. We'll see you next time, okay? Cheers, everyone.